other side, to Chris Paul. Because naturally, when we look at one star for the winning side, we have to look at the superstar for the other side. Let me first just say that I feel absolutely awful, sorry, and saddened for Chris Paul. Not that Giannis and the Bucks didn't deserve to win the NBA title. But when you look at guys that have literally poured their heart and soul into their NBA career, 16 seasons for a guy in Chris Paul, who's one of the greatest leaders of all time, one of the greatest point guards of all time, for him to come up short in this fashion, for the biggest moment, the biggest game of his career, for him to actually step up but not have the horses come with him was a true shame. And it was unfortunate to see him come up a little bit short yet again at age 36, because we don't know how many more opportunities, if he'll have any more opportunities in this prominent role to get back to this position. But I will say this about Chris Paul. To me, I think that despite the fact that he lost in these finals, I actually think that his status and his standing among the all-time greats has actually been heightened, that it's been elevated, that it's been enhanced. Because I think what this year finally showed to everyone, people who were a fan of Chris Paul's, people who weren't, it truly illuminated how great his impact is on and off the court. The leadership that he's been showing for years now, finally, I think, has been fully acknowledged and recognized this year. And it's truly admirable what he's been doing. I mean, to think that people are going to suggest that he will be knocked down a peg for reaching the finals and still playing pretty well in the finals is preposterous to me. It's blasphemy. And they're just simply wrong. To suggest that he should be knocked off the pedestal of the all-time greats because he led the Phoenix Suns to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1993, and in Game 6, he drops 26 points but doesn't get any help from his teammates, that he drops 22 points, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds on 54% shooting, 49% shooting from the three-point line for the series. To think that he came up short and that he crumbled under pressure, that's a lie. It's just simply a lie. And so, to me, when you really evaluate yesterday, and Chris Paul showed he was the most valuable player for the Phoenix Suns yesterday. Quite frankly, he was the best player for the Suns yesterday. He scored 26. The second and third quarter, CP3 kept the Suns afloat. Devin Booker struggled. I love Devin Booker, but 19 points, 8 for 22, 0 for 7 from the three-point line. I can't blame Chris Paul for that performance. The fact that Mikal Bridges and Booker missed some point-blank layups and dunks, I can't blame Chris Paul for that. And had the Suns been able to come back and win this game, it would have been solely because of Chris Paul and his heroics. Not that he absolutely played his best game of the postseason, but I think that you can honestly say, listen, Game 1 they won because of Chris Paul. He was a major and vital contributor in Game 2 with 23 points. And then in Game 6, had they won, that would have been a second surefire game attributed to Chris Paul. And he would have to have been recognized for leading this Phoenix Suns team. And so to me, he actually played the second best game of the finals last night. Now, say what you want about what that means, but I think that when you think about Chris Paul and when we think about his career, I think what happened was we forgot just how valuable he is. I think that his value is something that has been augmented so much, that has been amplified this postseason. Because think about the impact that he's had everywhere he's gone. And that's how you measure an individual's true legacy, an individual's true impact. Started his career with New Orleans, a franchise that had no relevancy, joined the Clippers, who were dormant, lacked any vitality whatsoever, resuscitated that franchise, with consistent playoff appearances, took the Houston Rockets back to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since Akeem Olajuwon won back-to-back finals with the Rockets in 94 and 95. In his first season with the Rockets with James Harden, he leads them to a game away from the NBA Finals, then pulls his hamstring. Then he goes to OKC, a team that was deliberately tanking, and he leads them to the playoffs as a 5th seed and pushes the Rockets, the 4 seed, to the brink, to a Game 7. And then he takes his talents to Phoenix, a team that had missed the playoffs for over a decade, that hadn't been to the finals since 1993. And he leads them nearly to the mountaintop, carries them almost to the finish line. And he comes up a little short, and now we're all of a sudden knocking him and slighting him and viewing him in a more negative light. That makes no sense. He's one of the greatest point guards and one of the greatest leaders that we have ever seen orchestrate offenses in the NBA history. And I think, to me, where Chris Paul's legacy stands right now is he's actually catapulted himself into the top 5 greatest point guards of all time, despite the losing effort. I got Magic Johnson at number 1, Steph Curry at number 2, Oscar Robertson at number 3, Isaiah Thomas at number 4. And then I think right now at number 5, you kind of have to put Chris Paul and John Stockton kind of together right at number 5. Perhaps Chris Paul a little bit better because he was a better defensive player than John Stockton was. So right now, I think Chris Paul's legacy actually hasn't been hurt by this postseason run, by this finals loss, because he didn't crumble under the pressure. He didn't crumble under the biggest spotlight, this stage, the magnitude of this moment. Could he have played better at times? Sure, but that's what happens when you rely on a 36-year-old guy to carry your team single-handedly in a crucial Game 6 on the road. We're enamored with LeBron because he's defying expectations, that he's defying odds, he's defying age and attrition. Chris Paul's 36. Not everyone is built like that. And even with all that being said, he still had a phenomenal season, a phenomenal postseason. And I think that his legacy has actually been buttressed and, to be honest, has been strengthened and enhanced after this postseason, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I think that had he been able to get a 40 to 45 point performance from Devin Booker paired with what he provided, what he contributed in his production, then I think they probably win that game. I think it's as simple as that. I think they probably win that game.